All right, let's go to the best sport in the world, Luke. They call it boxing. My number 3 pick for fights I most want to see. Look, this is like another video game fantasy fight, only it's a very possibility it could happen. We all know David Benavidez is now fighting at 175 because he's not going to wait for Canelo. The David Morrell Jr. pay-per-view on February 1st is going to be must-see TV. But if Benavidez wins, we already know he's being set up in Riyadh season to fight the winner of the February 22nd Beterbiev-Bivol rematch for the undisputed light heavyweight title. It's actually possible in 2025 that Artur Beterbiev, if he beats Bivol a second time, stays undefeated, could take on unbeaten David Benavidez for the undisputed light heavyweight title. I would have thought we'd already seen Canelo Benavidez 1 and 2 by now. We didn't. And I don't know if we're ever going to see it. But Luke, holy shit, this would be a spectacle. Like, you got, like, could you favor Benavidez? First, let's see what he did against Morrell. But who cares about that? He'd be an underdog coming in. But this would be a manly, hectic, highly skilled, but aggressive fight. It would be absolutely incredible, especially if Beterbiev wins a second time, is that old dog pushing 40, still, fighting for the pound-for-pound number 1 consideration against a Benavidez who would have really, despite, never getting Canelo, stepped up some quality steps, Plant, on Andrade. Now this, Vodzik in his debut at 175, and now Morrell first. Luke, how much would that interest you?
Is this fight at 175 or 168?
175. They're full-timers now at 175, Morrell and Benavidez.
I need to see how Benavidez looks. I mean, it's not just a win here, because he looked fine against Vodzik, but not overwhelming. And
yeah, he might not beat Morrell, just so we know. Like, we don't know yet.
Right.
That's why that fight's so good. But
exactly. Or he could beat Morrell, but like by the skin of his teeth, in which case you're like, let's slow down. So I need to see how he looks. But I'll say this. If he looks like he looked against Andrade, or, not even that, but against Plant or something, then yes, I'd be highly interested in seeing a showdown with Beterbiev. Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Let's go. What do you got for me, Luke? Number 3.
For my number 3, it's, you just have to see it. Or I'm going to guess that there's a significant amount of market appeal for it. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia 2.
Hell yeah. Give me that.
Just seems like a no-brainer for a fight that has, everyone is suing everybody. Ryan Garcia is burning crosses allegedly, or something like that.
It's a soap opera, dude. It's a freaking soap opera.
And remember, I cannot even, like, I know that I said that Ryan Garcia was going to get tuned like a guitar. That is, one of the all-time worst predictions ever. And I understand that, but I do want folks to remember the madness of Fight Week, where Garcia had like party voice, was drinking in the club until late at night, missed weight. Just a circus beyond circus. And then went in there within the first minute of the first round, rocked Devin Haney's shit with a left hook. And then, of course, people also forget Haney collected a bunch of rounds, like rounds 3 through 6 or 7 or so, where he was doing really quite well. And then everything kind of came off a couple more times when he got dropped subsequently in that bout. I think 2 more times after that, if memory serves. So the whole thing was fucking madness. Devin Haney saying he's going to be back in March, obviously not against Ryan Garcia, who's still suspended. So there's a little bit of business to be conducted. And, we'll see what kind of state Ryan Garcia is in by the time he is reinstated from his 1-year ban as well. But BC, am I lying in saying that there is just an enormous, it's one of the biggest rematches you could make.
Oh yeah.
If not the biggest rematch you could make in the year.
And it's going to be so palatable to the casual fan to jump over and be like, oh yeah, I know that I know that story. I know that fight. Let's do it again a second time. Look, my second fight is going to be right involved there with the 5 kings, if you want to call them that, of in and around the 135, 140 division. We've only seen 2 iterations of this group fight each other. Both have involved Ryan Garcia, once against Tank Davis, and of course, the first fight with Haney. Damn right, I hope he rematches Haney, and that would have been my number 4 pick. But my number 2 pick is a fresh matchup. How about Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez Jr.? And I know Teo and Devin Haney have been talking trash. We'll get to Devin Haney's future in a second. But Luke, Ryan Garcia versus Teo in the ring would be so quick twitch fiber explosive. It would be incredible. And the lead in with how, we think of Ryan Garcia as, unfortunately, at times being crazy. Dude, Teo has been wild and out of control lately. I mean, both guys have used the N-word, unfortunately, Luke. That's not the direction I wanted to go here with this matchup, but it is the reality. Tell me this wouldn't be an offensive just joy to behold, to watch in the ring.
Yes, it would certainly be the kind of madness that you tend to prefer. I think it's a good way to put it, right?
Hulk Hogan will be
Uh,
the special guest referee, right? Dog the Bunny Hunter would be the timekeeper. It'd be great. Yeah.
oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, but listen, it- there's a market for chaos, and that fight brings it. And
For the 140 title, let's do it. Let's do it.
let's do it. It would absolutely work. I can't say otherwise. It would work. It would work. All right, for my number 2, BC, I struggled with this one because my number 1 is clear, and so I didn't know which direction to go. For my number 3 honorable mention, I'm going to say Canelo and um, Bud, but I just don't think it's very likely to happen, so I can't really put it on my list.
Oh,
But
look, they're talking about it. It's still kind of out there as a possibility for May.
I just find it unlikely. I don't know.
Okay.
I find it unlikely. I hope I'm wrong. Jesus, I hope I'm wrong. And based on my 2024 predictions, there's a good chance I am, right? Um, Virgil Ortiz and Boots. That's the one I want to see.
Ooh.
I really want to see that one. Boots had a big debut signing with Matchroom, and it's not gone poorly exactly, but it has been no boost from his fortunes at, well, again, at PBC. We know he's not really a PBC guy, but, had a PBC friendly, essentially, relationship. It's been no change. And in fact, maybe even worse. And some of the things that people have said about him, like he's ducking this guy, and he's ducking that guy, and he's ducking this one, I think some of that might be overstated, but not all of it, BC. Like there has been a moment where we've kind of been waiting for Boots to break out, and he just hasn't broken out. And not only that, this fight would be all action. It would be important for, well, 154 essentially. I mean, I know he was saying I might go 154, 147, but certainly at 54 would be.
To interrupt you, the latest news is that Boots is talking with Stanionis about a welterweight title unification.
Which is fine, but that's not on the level of this one. I mean, it's
Right.
just not. In terms of the interest level, Virgil Ortiz is not the slickster, I don't think, that a guy like Boots is, but he's hard-nosed, he's devastating, he's very good, he's in your face, the kind of guy I think that could give Boots, who is defensively lazy or at a bare minimum not optimized, could cause real problems. Like, it's just a moment for Boots to either show us who we thought he could be, or for Ortiz to sort of set the record straight about what the pecking order actually looks like. And either way, you're going to get a dynamite fight out of it. I love that one, BC. I really hope they find a way to make that one happen.
I love that pick. My number 1 pick, look, I'm going to be consistent. I say it all the time whenever we talk about what's the fights you want to see most. It's not as sexy at the moment because both haven't had great years in terms of marketing themselves by staying busy and upgrading their competition, although I credit Tank Davis for that Frank Martin win. He just hasn't been busy, and who knows if he's even fighting Roach in March. I hope, but we saw that weird cryptic tweet from him. We saw that new hairstyle on social media yesterday, which was interesting as well. But, at the highest level, I love skill versus skill. Dude, Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson, give it to me. Give it to me at lightweight. Unify the titles, finally. This would be the fight that both badly need. For Tank, it would be the highest level critical opponent where people would probably be split or, some picking Shakur to beat him there, where he'd have to prove against a contemporary, same weight, same age group, same era here, that he can do this on the level of him. And that's what Shakur has shown. For Shakur, it certainly would be that same thing, but it would also be that one giant commercial fight that he's been grasping for but hasn't been able to get. And I know he hasn't always been his own best advocate inside the ring. He got booed out of his own home arena, switched promoters. I know everything that's happened. Had an injury recently. But if you put these two together, the ones that know, the hardcores know that that's as great of a fight as you can make in the entire damn sport. I want answers. I want these guys to fight each other while they're still in their 20s and in their primes. Come on, 5 kings, 5 princes, whatever we're calling you. Make this era great by fighting each other and going out of your way to do it. Uncle Turkey's there if we need a financial boom. If we need 5 booms, we can get that too, Luke. Let's make it. I want to see skill versus skill, best versus best. Let's go.
That's a good one. It doesn't move me. Well, okay, it does move me quite a bit. I just find it so unlikely. I just don't. I mean, I'm not even sure if we're going to get to the Lamont Roach finish line, much less the Shakur Stevenson finish line. But if they made it, it would be fucking epic. It would be huge. It would be fantastic. I would love it. I have not a single bad thing to say about it. Other than I just don't know how likely it is. But
Okay.
For my number one BC, this is an easy one. I don't think anyone's going to be super surprised by this. I'm not saying it's the biggest fight for anybody else, although I do think for some it will be. Um, Simple. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. It's not what it once could have been. Okay, fair enough. But it's still pretty great. And it's still big, important, could set up for phenomenal atmosphere, could set up for phenomenal action. I think it still settles something pretty important. And, BC, I'm not going to put it on the same level of like it's the heavyweight British version of Garcia Haney. I don't think that's quite right. But I do think between them, you're going to get a crazy guy acting out in Tyson Fury and sort of the straight man, as it were, in either Devin Haney or in this particular case, Anthony Joshua. And you're going to get a fun contrast in the build up to it. I think that fight has to go in the UK and not necessarily in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how Saudi Arabia feels about that, but I'm just pointing out that fight for me would be so fun, so interesting, so weird. It's my number one boxing fight to make
Well,
in
look,
2025.
it's a great pick, and it has to happen. We need it. Turkey was willing to put Dubois versus AJ in front of what was that 96,000 at Wembley. This
Yeah.
fight, if you can cram more bodies into that building, they'll find a way. This is that fight, and as much as you would rather see this fight if both were unbeaten champions unifying to get an undisputed champion, it didn't go that way. But a second best option is two former champions who still have something in the tank and a chip on their shoulder from recent big-time losses, looking to redeem themselves against one another to work their way back into that undisputed title shot. It's central casting still, even at this point, even with both having a couple losses here. So, yeah, great choice. Need it. Hope we see it. Think we'll see it next. It's a perfect Riyadh season in London fight. Let's do it.